Was my camera blocking me? Was that it? Was my phone blocking? Hey, Renee. How are you? I'm doing a really good job of epically screwing up a live stream that I actually planned, and I can't get anything to work properly. I know I can't screen share with my just on the actual share screen, can I? Oh my god, I can. 1 second, let's see. So let me see. Can you see me now? Can't chat there. Let's go to here. Let's find the one that I want to share. Nope. Not that one. Let's go back to TikTok. Okay. Tell me if you can see that. I have 2 streams on, that's fine. Ah. Found it. I can see me now. Okay. We're golden. We're back at we're on now. I didn't realize I had 2 restream going. So if you would like to join me over on YouTube, you'll be able to see what I am going to be sharing soon here in a second. Since we're going to be talking about epipens and the cost of trying to stay alive. Okay. Because it's expensive. Alright, so what I did was, and I'm gonna make sure that I update the video description box to include the OC's comment or link and profile and to the video itself. He's a creator named Nikki with a following of around, I think, 33,000, and he brought up some points asking why EpiPen is so expensive. Because some people are paying, insane amounts of money for their EpiPens, and some of us are lucky. I'm one of them. I think it's $45 for my EpiPens, but not everybody is that lucky. I know some people who pay nothing, but I also know that there are some who are paying triple digits, and that's a lot, especially when you're not even, sometimes you're not sure if you need to use it. So let's see. Let's go back here. So I need you to join me over on YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube, and one entry for a free 30-minute one-on-one. We can go over anything regarding MCAS, medical gaslighting, chronic illness, histamine intolerance, latex allergy, not medical advice, just sharing my journey and what I know, and I can help you research information that you can take to your physicians that might help you get diagnosed faster than I got diagnosed. And in the original video, I shared snippets from a Vox article, and I wanted to do a full read of the article, and I was going to do it in parts until I realized that it's a little bit, it was going to be multiple videos, and I don't know. It's too much. Okay, so let's go here. And I'm sharing this to my Facebook page too. For chronically spicy. Renee, how are you doing today? YouTube is going to be, YouTube is not going to cooperate. Okay, can you see me? Who's hanging out on YouTube? Tomas, how are you? All right, so now that we have got that part figured out, thank goodness, I'm alive too. When people ask me how I'm doing, everyone, like, the standard answer is always supposed to be fine. I say surviving because I'm not lying then. All right, now we're going to go to the Vox article, and we're going to read the article. Let me switch sharing, and then we can discuss. Now, I'm going to say this again and I'll say it occasionally, for those who are following and would like to help support me. I'm trying to raise $190 so that I can pay for Restream Pro, which will allow me to have more than one guest, allow me to stream to, I think, up to 5 platforms, definitely more than 2, which I get for free right now. And also will allow me to stream directly to my Facebook page on Chronically Spicy, as opposed to streaming to my main page, my main account, because I'm pretty sure that's probably annoying all my friends who aren't there for that kind of mess. Because, If you're not there for that, that's not what you're there for. All right, now we are going to read this Vox article, and stay tuned. I will be adding the links and updating the description box after we're done. And then, where did the article go? I would like to view the tab. There we go. All right, so from Vox.com, can we solve the EpiPen cost crisis? What do you think? Please share, like, comment. And if you donate $5, automatic entry into 30-minute one-on-one with me. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, that is a second entry. If you've already subscribed, and you'll have, I'm counting that as an entry for you. And if you donate the $5 to PayPal, Instagram, or Cash App, I will then make sure that you have 2 entries. Okay? All right. So from Vox.com, can we solve the EpiPen cost crisis? Mickey, I will tag you. And hopefully you see this because you were pretty much right on the money in your breakdown. From Vox.com, some families are still spending thousands of dollars per year on life-saving medication. Policymakers are finally doing something about it. This was written on April 4th, 2023 by Dylan Scott. All right. Okay. Article. EpiPens are once again becoming a target for policymakers looking to solve one of American healthcare's most egregious cost crises. Several years ago, exponential price increases began making it difficult for patients to afford the life-saving medication, drew widespread attention and intense public outrage. The company that makes EpiPens, Mylan, paid a 9-figure fraud settlement with the federal government and introduced a moderately cheaper version of the drug. Thanks for the pats on the head, babe. This didn't entirely solve the medication's affordability problem. Some patients are still paying in excess of $600 a year for epinephrine, but it did mean that the cost of EpiPens stopped getting so much attention. But that is starting to change. Lawmakers in Colorado are advancing legislation that would cap patients out of pocket cost for epi, potentially saving families hundreds of dollars every year. Similar proposals in other states are starting to gain traction. Ultimately, experts say Congress may need to impose a cap on how much patients pay for epinephrine, mimicking the steps they took with insulin last year for people on Medicare. Sounds like a good idea to me. As with insulin, which has seen dramatic price cuts recently after a prolonged advocacy campaign, a near monopoly by Big Pharma led to EpiPen prices skyrocketing. Mylan hiked the price of a 2-pack of EpiPens sixfold. Sixfold. And so that took the price of a 2-pack of EpiPens from $100 to $600 in a decade. Out-of-pocket spending doubled as patients with serious allergies were forced to pay up in order to get access to a medicine that could save their life in an emergency. In the past few years, new products, including a non-branded version of EpiPen sold by Mylan, entered the market. The hope was that the increased competition would bring prices down. But in reality, the effect was more muted. Some patients still must pay hundreds of dollars every year for their epi. There are two problems keeping the price of EpiPens and its peers high. First, it's a combination of a drug, epinephrine, and the device that delivers the drug. The drug device combination is governed by a complex web of regulations that prevented the significant price drops you would expect when new competitors are introduced. And second, across the US health system, more of the cost of the medical care is being passed on to patients via high deductible health plans and other benefits design changes, which means that many people are still exposed to high costs even if the top line price for epinephrine has started to come down. Please tap the screen, you guys. The renewed focus on EpiPens comes during a time when insulin, another high profile drug, has received more attention from policymakers. Last year, Congress imposed a $35 monthly cap for Medicare beneficiaries and mandated steep discounts for Medicaid. In response, and with the looming threat of more ambitious action by states, all three of the major US insulin manufacturers have slashed prices of some of their products in the past month. We've just shown that we can do this for insulin, said Kao Ping Chua, a University of Michigan health policy researcher who has studied epi costs. We can improve the affordability of life-saving drugs. Now, he and others are hoping that rather than rest after the recent success with insulin, policymakers will turn their attention to epi next. Why are EpiPens so expensive anyway? Let's get to the heart. Epinephrine is a naturally occurring hormone in people's bodies, where it is more commonly referred by another name, adrenaline. In that function, it is vital to the fight or flight response, increasing blood flow to the muscles and kicking a person's heart into higher gear. But since 1901, when it was first isolated by Japanese chemist Jokichi Takamine and soon after put to use medically, it also has become an important medication primarily, but not exclusively, for people experiencing anaphylaxis, an extreme and sometimes fatal allergic reaction that restricts the ability to breathe. I'm going to make sure I include in the description box a differentiation between anaphylaxis and anaphylactic shock, because anaphylaxis does not always lead to anaphylactic shock. Anaphylaxis is medically defined by two or more body systems affected at once. Okay. I experience multiple, and actually, I'm one of the, I know probably two other people with MCAS who are we are basically in constant low level anaphylaxis if we are not properly medically treated. So, just wanted to make sure that you know the difference there. Does not mean that anaphylaxis is not important to pay attention to. Just making sure that, like I said, as a journalist, I like to clarify things and make sure people understand what they're doing and what they're reading about, and being able to properly advocate for themselves with their doctors and providers because they have the right information. All right. So more than 1 million Americans have an epi prescription. It is not a medicine that they take regularly, like insulin. It is used in emergencies where it can be the difference between life and death. Seriously. The version of epi that most people are familiar with is the EpiPen, an auto-injector most people can use with minimal training that delivers a precise dose. The EpiPen came into the market in 1983, and by the mid 2000s, it was still doing the dominant epinephrine product. It was still the dominant epi product with a 90% market share and a $200 million annual revenue. That is mind blowing. Renee B says it is terrifying. Yes, it is. All right. Let's see. In 2007, Mylan Pharmaceuticals received the right to produce and sell EpiPens from its previous manufacturer, Merck, which had obtained the rights to produce and sell the drug through a series of mergers and acquisitions since its introduction. Mylan quickly refreshed the product, and while the medicine and basic mechanisms were the same, the company made tweaks to the device that allowed it to obtain new patents that would extend its monopoly and stave off production of any generic versions of the EpiPen. The company also entered exclusive contracts with larger entities like school districts to protect its market share. Yay, capitalism. Over the following decade, Mylan also jacked up the list price of a 2-pack of EpiPens from $94, which is steep but doable, to $609. And as a result, patients who depended on this medicine in a life or death emergency increasingly found it more difficult to even afford, even as the product itself remained largely unchanged. Please tap the screen. Hey, Jen. All right. According to a 2017 analysis published by Chua and Rina Conti, average out-of-pocket spending on EpiPens more than doubled from 2007 to 2014. The average was up to $75 per year, but that's just the average. Some people were paying less, depending on their health insurance, but other people were paying much, much more. The percentage of people with an Epi prescription who were paying $100 out of pocket annually increased from 4% in 2007 to 18% in 2014. The percentage of patients with out-of-pocket costs above $250 rose from almost nobody, 0.1%, up to 7.4%. If you are following on, if you're reading along with me on YouTube, please say hi and do me a favor and subscribe, because anyone who subscribes and it gets one entry into a one-on-one with me, which we can do privately or live, for helping research and answer questions for you. Or you can also get an entry with me for a one-on-one by, one second, I need to plug this in before I lose power. But can also get a one-on-one with me by donating $5 to my Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal, so I can try to get the pro version of the streaming software that I'm using. Okay, one second. Okay, there we go. All right, back to the article. In outlier cases, such as families with multiple children who need an EpiPen prescription, a household could end up spending more than $1,000 annually just to make sure they had enough doses of the drug on hand, Chua told the reporter. More recent research has shown that an out-of-pocket charge of as little as $10 can discourage patients from filling prescriptions. Think about it, or even use it. Seriously. I used to be on on compounded Benadryl oral capsules. It was $156 per bottle. You can bet your sweet booty that every single time I had to open that bottle, I was actually debating whether or not I really needed it. To help stop an allergic reaction or help, because I have MCAS, I have mast cell activation syndrome. So not all of my uh, anaphylaxis is EpiPen worthy, but $156 a bottle for for Benadryl, that makes you think. 600 for an EpiPen, yeah, you're gonna really actually wonder if you should, if do you really need it? Because every time you use it, you're going to have to buy a new one. Okay. Um, oops. Yeah. Stories of the drug being unaffordable for patients began to gain traction in the news around 2016, and Mylan faced significant scrutiny from public officials, including a fraud investigation that ultimately led to a $465 million settlement over improper Medicaid billing in 2017. The company sought to soften the backlash by introducing an unbranded version of the EpiPen in 2016, the first significant competition to the brand name EpiPen in years, priced at $300 for a 2-pack. Ooh, yay, a deal. That's a sale. Mylan's patents also started to expire, and more competitors came to the market in the following years, usually with list prices between $200 and $400, which is still out of the league of a lot of people. Okay, it's still a lot. Let's see. That is crazy. All right, so over time, the egregious cost of EpiPens faded from the headlines. But the chronic illness and the food allergy community, oh, yeah, we haven't forgotten. The two big reasons EpiPens can still be so expensive. But the cost crisis never really left. The introduction of lower price competitors seemed to promise that the epinephrine affordability crisis would ease, and for some patients, prices have dropped modestly, but thousands of families are still struggling to afford this essential medication today. And it is essential. It is 100% essential. Chua and Conti updated their research last year, reviewing out of pocket spending on EPIs, and found that their peers from 2014 to 2019. They did find that in the aggregate, average annual spending dropped from about $115 annually to $75. But there was still a sizable portion of the patient population, about 8% of users, who were paying more than $200 per year for their medicine. Most of these patients, about 63%, were children, and most families paid an average of $657 annually for their epinephrine. Mind you, this is not compounded. This is just a regular EpiPen, okay? And when I say just, I'm not minimizing. I'm just saying this wasn't something this isn't like an EpiPen from a compounding pharmacy where the prescription is made specifically for you. You can go to Walmart. You can get this from Target, a CVS. This is a straight up regular EpiPen. And it's not compounded. Anyway, digging deeper into the data, the two stuck out to Chua. Most of the people with high out-of-pocket costs were using non-branded alternatives to the brand name EpiPen, meaning this was not simply a problem of patients and doctors sticking with a more expensive but well-known legacy product. And two, most of the patients were enrolled in a high-deductible health insurance plan. Both of these findings reveal why the Epi cost persists for some patients years after the initial outrage. The first problem, high prices even for generic versions of the drug, is a bit of a surprise given that competition is a primary mechanism by which the U.S. health system reduces prescription drug prices. In more conventional markets, the introduction of generic competition usually leads to price dropping by 75% or more. Hey, you. How are you doing? But that hasn't happened with epinephrine. Join me over on YouTube. If you subscribe, automatic entry into a one-on-one with me for 30 minutes, or you can also enter for a one-on-one with me for 30 minutes by donating $5 to Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal, so that I can try and I can try to start covering the cost of upgrading to the pro version of Restream so that I can stream directly to my chronically spicy page. All right. The prices of these competing products, it's lower, but it's not low, said Chua. It appears to be a 50% discount. It's relatively less, but in absolute sense, it's still high. That makes sense. Because the average person doesn't have that kind of money to drop every single time they have an allergic reaction. And if you're having an allergic reaction, or your child is having an allergic reaction, the last place you need to be is in a position where you're wondering if you can afford to refill the prescription once it's used. The problem is that EpiPens and it appears are not simple drugs, but drug-device combinations. The FDA regulates those products differently than other medications. With the more conventional drug, it is fairly simple for a generic version of the drug to be approved as fully substitutable for the brand name version. I forgot. The generic company needs to show its product is similar to the original in its chemistry, and once that happens, doctors can prescribe the generic the same as they would the brand name, or pharmacists are permitted to substitute the cheaper generic for the more expensive brand name when the patient fills a prescription at the drugstore. I've got one of the newer Epis, I think, and that might be why it's cheaper, but it's also really confusing on how to use. I've done a video on that, and I'll link that in the description too. But that's not the case with the drug device combination. As Scott D said, the bar is higher. Hello, Mona Public Health. Basically, both the drug and the device have to be proven as equivalent, and it's much harder to do this with the device, she said. Devices have patents, trade secrets, and simple sourcing features to make it very difficult to copy exactly. This, in turn, affects drug delivery in ways that may be difficult to predict. That makes it more difficult for a new competitor to gobble up Mylan's market share by offering a cheap alternative. Instead, after Mylan itself began offering the $300 unbranded version of its EpiPen, competitors that have entered the market have usually set the prices in roughly the same range and try to peel off customers with more targeted sales pitches, such as smaller injectors that are easier for kids to carry around with them. Prices are not at the forefront. Prices need to be at the forefront. We're not talking about simple Tylenol here or a cold medicine. We're talking about something that can save someone's life. And with all of these stories that I've done recently on anaphylactic related passings of people, one second. My live is set to die. 1 minute. What? I fixed it. No internet connection. Please try again. Okay. Refresh. There we go. All right. So, anyway, sorry. My apparently I was not active for a few minutes. All right. So, this is not what we normally see when you have fully substitutable substitutable generic coming into the market, Schwa said. There's usually a much greater decrease in price and therefore out-of-pocket spending. The stubbornly high list prices of epinephrine flow into the second problem. Patients are shouldering most of the cost of their health care. Most of the patients paying more than $200 per year in Chua and Conti's research are enrolled in high health deductible plans. According to the Kaiser Foundation, the percentage of Americans enrolled in employee-sponsored insurance, which covers more than half of the U.S. population, with an annual deductible of $2,000, has increased from 7% in 2009 to 32% in 2022. Vibes non-toxic. We can't free anybody if we're not alive. Okay. People who purchase an insurance individually through the Affordable Care Act's marketplaces can also have deductibles in excess of $2,000 if they do not qualify for certain federal assistance. Though most of the customers on those marketplaces do get a discount on out-of-pocket costs. Fundamentally, I view this as a problem of insurance benefit design, Chua said. We, as a society, have decided it's okay for insurance plans to utilize deductibles and coinsurance with this blunt way that treats epinephrine in the same way as an ineffective drug. That is the problem policymakers have honed in on with new proposals aimed at making epi more affordable. How policymakers are trying to make epinephrine more affordable. Fresh off the recent progress in making insulin more affordable, state lawmakers have turned their attention back to epipens. The Colorado House, which had already passed an out-of-pocket cap for insulin in 2021 that became law, approved a smaller measure late last month, capping out-of-pocket costs for epipens at $60 per year. It is now in consideration in the state Senate. A similar measure introduced in the Rhode Island legislature would require insurers to cover the drug at no cost to the patient. That would be amazing. Other bills under consideration in Delaware, Missouri, and Vermont would require insurers to cover epinephrine, which is not currently mandatory, though most health plans do. Chua said that an out-of-pocket cap would be an effective tool for making epinephrine more affordable. While health insurers may argue, with some justification, that this lets drug makers like Mylan hook, the reality is that setting rules for insurance benefits would be simpler than overhauling how the FDA regulates prescription drugs and devices such as epi. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And like I said, say hi on YouTube because that's where I need to build. All right, let's go back. All right. And because people only fill an epi prescription once a year, most people only fill a prescription for epi once a year, which is not as often as we should be. Why do you think that is? Even a $100 annual cap can be a big difference when people are currently paying hundreds of dollars for the drug every year. That's why. But state action can only do so much because self-insured employer plans, the large employee plans that cover most people with commercial insurance, are not subject to state regulations. They are instead regulated by the federal government. That means Congress would need to act to ensure epi is affordable for all Americans, not just those in certain states with a certain type of insurance. Congress did secure major wins on drug prices last year, including the introduction of a $35 monthly cap on insulin for Medicare beneficiaries. Chua said a permanent solution could be fairly simple, a variation of the Insulin for All Act that Senator Bernie Sanders has introduced that would cap insulin costs for all patients, not just those on Medicare. Patient advocates are trying to maintain momentum after the recent action on insulin, fearing that otherwise the issue may once again recede into the background, as it did after the initial outrage against myelin a few years ago. I would hope for federal action on this, Chua said. This piecemeal approach is not going to affect everybody in the country. That is the article from Vox that I will make sure I put in the description box. And I'm also going to add other points that I think are important and essential as an EpiPen carrier myself. But I would love to know what you think. And let's keep the conversation going, because honestly, if we don't start making noise again as a community, this is going to get forgotten, and people are going to continue to have to pay exorbitant prices for epi, which is not fair, to put it lightly. But yeah, Mickey, thank you for your post. One of my followers shared it, and I saw that. And that is how we ended up going over the cost of epi. So I carry, and here's something else I need to point out, just so you know. This is more of a PSA, and I'm not giving medical advice. I am just sharing what I know. But a friend of mine is a registered nurse who is also severely allergic to a lot of the same things I am. And she shared with me that just carrying one EpiPen is usually not enough, because sometimes they misfire. Hear that? Sometimes they misfire. So that means that you sometimes need to use a second epi. I was told by my provider that my rescue plan means first I try my mast cell stabilizing benzo medication and intramuscular Benadryl, and then if that doesn't work, then I use my first epi, and if that doesn't work, I am making sure that I have someone contacting emergency services 911 while I'm using the second epi. Okay. That being said, this is expensive for a lot of people, and it's absolutely essential when it comes to your throat closing, your throat swelling, your tongue swelling, airway affected, anaphylaxis. It's the first line of defense, 100%. And there's absolutely no reason for epi to still be at the price that it is at all. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to know if you use epi yourself, how much it costs you, and how many you carry, because my nurse friend carries four. She carries 4 epi with her at all times because of the severity of her latex allergy and latex root syndrome cross allergens. She carries 4 pens with her all the time because sometimes they misfire. Can you imagine that? Based on this story, if her insurance was different, that's what, $1,200 out of pocket? That's a lot. Okay. So do me a favor. I need you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I need you to leave a comment, pick a video when you're busy doing something, pick any video and just let it play. Just let it play. in background on your TV or on one of your videos, one of your social media, one of your phones or one of your devices you're not using at the time. And this will play because it'll help with my watch hours, because my goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers so that I can monetize my channel, because I can't work out of the home. There's just way too much going on with my health and allergies and all of that. Hey, Vesper, I finally figured it out. And I'm ending this live in a minute on YouTube. And then I'm going to start another. But anyway, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. And if you're interested in a free one-on-one, like non-medical consultation, where I just help you research and find the answers you need to take to your doctor with to properly advocate for yourself, you can donate $5 to my PayPal, Cash App, or link. PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. I will make sure I have those links in the description box. And if you're already a subscriber, that's a second. That's a second entry. And if you do subscribe, that's a second entry. So I'm going to head out now from this one. Thanks for listening. Sorry I had such a glitch at the beginning to get started for this one. I'm going to take a short break, and then I'm going to start a second video because there's multiple topics that I wanted to cover tonight. Have a great night. Please stay safe. Food allergy and allergy awareness in general saves lives. And when I say that, food allergy and allergy awareness matters, I mean everybody, not just the people who are carrying the EpiPens. That's it for now. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. All right.